Hello, driving intelligence community. We're practicing our not social distancing, but social protection. This is Randy, a good friend of mine. He owns an Explorer. What year is that?
2016.
All right, 2016 Explorer. And he's been suffering some problems with this vehicle for about a week now. I'm going to let him describe what the issue is, and then we're going to go through the testing to see what we can figure out.
So when I'm driving on the interstates and trying to accelerate, it skips. It's like it's hesitating, moving forward. And I talked to Barry about it, and I thought maybe the gas that I may have purchased somewhere. And then I put a new tank in the gas in the car, and then about a couple days later, new gas and everything, and it still did the same thing. So we're trying to figure out what's going on with it, whether it's a coil wire, whether it's a spark plugs or whatever it is, but we're trying to figure out what's going on. So that's why I'm here.
So what you said that also when you turn it off, sometimes it pops. What was that?
It just pops. It's like a pop sound. I'm not sure.
You turn the engine off and then it pops.
Yes. We're going to turn it off in just a minute and see if it does it.
So I'm going to run some diagnostics on it. The reason I told him to try some good gas, there's a top tier gas, a quality gas. It's got all the proper detergents in it, and the automotive manufacturers recommend that because these engines have such tight tolerances now. The fuel injectors, for example, they can get clogged up if you're not using top tier gas. Places like QT or Exxon, Shell, those places I think are all top tier gas, but you can check that online. Since that didn't resolve the issue and it's intermittent, I'm thinking it's a potentially bad coil that's starting to go bad. It's an intermittent. He doesn't have a check engine light, but I'm going to run codes because the computer can't store failure information even though it's not showing a check engine light. So that's the next step. So to take care of this 2016 Explorer with the 3.5 engine, I'm going with the DriveWorks coil on plug. They're all pretty expensive. The Motorcraft are considerably more expensive than this. And I'm also getting Motorcraft spark plugs. So I'm going to go ahead and order these and get these in for replacement with this owner's vehicle. He does have a check engine light now. I haven't had a chance to check it. So once he gets back, I'll take a look at the diagnostics and see if it indicates which coil it is. I'm pretty sure it is a coil, and I'll add that to the video. All parts are now in hand. I've got the 6 spark plugs and 6 coils for this 2016 Explorer. First we're going to check codes since the owner says he did get a check engine light, and we'll see maybe it narrows down to 1 coil, but we're going to change them all anyway. Ran all diagnostic codes, checking everything from the body computer to engine computer and ABS, and actually 0 codes came up, which indicates that the problem is very intermittent at this point and the computer's not popping a code. Nothing in memory. Pulled off the insulating cover. Probably it's pretty thick foam. Looks like it's used to keep the engine noise down. Here are the coils. So the owner and I have agreed that we're going to change the coils and the plugs. Unfortunately, this is like a Jeep that I've done, the 4-liter Jeep. I'm going to have to pull this intake off to get to those coils and plugs in the back. Once the intake is off, it'll be easy to get to those. But a couple extra steps that these car manufacturers like to add to make the maintenance activity a little more fun. First of the plugs have been removed, and obviously with 161,000 miles on this, you've got a lot of erosion. The gap on this is 0.062. I got to confirm yet what the gap should be, but even out of the box, the gap is significantly smaller between the old plug and the new. Look at that erosion. Wow. Front plugs and coils have been replaced. No problem there. Now to take the intake off to get to the back plugs and coils. So far I've taken the air intake tube out. I've disconnected the evap circuit that bolts on the top of the intake, and I've also taken off this PCV system off the intake to give me room. Now it looks like maybe a couple more hoses that need to be removed, and then I can pull the intake off with removal. What looks like 2, 4, 6, 7 bolts. So I've got all the bolts removed, all the hoses and electrical connections. Turns out, let's see if I can show it in the video. Right there. You can see that bolt, right?
Well, that's the only bolt in the view. So that's the bolt that is tied to a bracket or connected to a bracket. That's the last thing needed to be removed to get this intake out. Sorry, I can't get that in more focus, but it's in the back behind the throttle body. Should be easy enough to get to with an extension on a 1/4-inch ratchet. So intake has been removed. That one bolt was the final bolt that held it in with a bracket. These top bolts do come out. You can take them out, but the bottom ones don't try. They're actually held in place. So Abe's agreeing with me. So you don't need to take these bottom bolts out. Now we've got the engine exposed for the spark plugs and the coils. So point of advice, stick some rags, clean rags down inside the intake runner so you don't drop one of these bolts in there, and then you'll have a bad day after you start the engine. So I wanted to take a closer look at these plugs that I pulled out of the Explorer. 161,000 miles, that is amazing. But what you can see here is the significant erosion. The gap is 20% larger than it should be, which in my opinion makes the coils work much harder and would cause the coils probably to wear out more quickly. So it's important that you at least change your plugs at the recommended manufacturer's interval. Probably, I have to check it, maybe it's 100,000 miles, but you can at least pull one of the plugs and check and see if your gap looks bad and there's significant erosion. The nice thing is that these plugs look like they've been burning properly. I don't see any issues with the way the engine's running. So this is a good vehicle, and now he's got like new performance once again. Got her buttoned back up and even did a little bit of housekeeping on the battery. Got some of that battery acid off, cleaned it up. So let's see how this thing starts. That's smooth as butter. Running great. Now we're gonna go for a test drive. Here we go, test drive, and hit it hard. Not a single skip. Coils and plugs did the job.